Hello there, thanks a lot for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and I know I've said it once before here for an August 1963 Rolling Stones UK concert poster from Woking, England, but this very unusual beast is now the earliest documented Rolling Stones concert poster known to serious fans and collectors. July of 1963. Mick Jagger was 19 years old for this show. Just crazy. In the southwest of London at an art college. And that would certainly explain its unusual graphics on there. This thing was silkscreened onto thick red paper. Very unusual. And in fact, let's take a really brief look at the backside. Look at all the black paint scumming that spilled over during the silkscreen process. Very interesting. And as perhaps you can see, the poster was folded in half horizontally a long time ago before winding up in a frame. So the poster measures about 17 inches tall by 16 inches wide, give or take a little bit. No poster artist is given, just that line across the bottom at an angle, like all the information is, Twickenham Department of Graphic Design. But we now know that it was designed by 20-year-old student Colin Fulcher, later known as Barney Bubbles, and boy did he go on to some nice success. In the 70s and 80s he designed a whole bunch of LP covers, most notably for Stiff Records, the cool punk label, so he did albums and other graphics for the likes of Nick Lowe, Ian Dury and the Blockheads, and how about this one that Barney Bubbles designed, huh? That's right, Elvis Costello's classic This Year's Model album cover, as well as its follow-up Armed Forces. So quite a hats off there to Colin Fulcher, aka Barney Bubbles. So just what does this mysterious poster depict though? What is on there? Well, you know, only a couple of things are only one thing really is apparent, and that would be two men's faces, sort of from a half profile. So, you know, that's the first thing you see. I studied carefully, they are male. But, you know, what are these up here? Are those, you know, like ears or horns, you know, from a funny hat maybe above this man's face? I don't know, you know, same with those other red markings. They're just sort of mysterious, and they're artsy, of course. That's what it's meant to be. If I had to guess, though, I think this artwork was derived from a photograph. And we know from the Costello album cover, Fulcher liked to work from photos. And then you've got the Stones. Yep, the Stones with that highly unusual apostrophe. Yeah, so early in their career, that's pretty funny. Now, luckily, the Stones' name is mentioned again in full, and in fact, let's take a closer look at that paragraph. Come to the Klondike with the incredible Rolling Stones. Now, I have to admit, I don't know what Klondike refers to here, even after much research. It's, of course, what the British call the game of solitaire, the card game. But it's got a capital K, so I'm thinking perhaps it was the name of a building or group of buildings in which the club actually resided. And then it says, at Eel Pie Island on Friday, July 12th from 7:30 to 12. So Eel Pie was this intriguing small island in the River Thames in Twickenham in southwest London, and in the 1960s it was a real hotbed of activity for jazz and blues musicians. The island's so small it's got just like 50 houses and 120 regular inhabitants, but a lot of up-and-coming groups played there in the 1960s. The venue held about 800, by the way, and the Stones had a Wednesday night residency there throughout 1963. They played there a couple of dozen times. And in fact, they were always on Wednesdays, and so that's speculation probably why this poster was made, because it was a separate booking for a Friday night, which was unusual for them on Eel Pie Island. So it was actually booked directly with the school and co-billed as the Twickenham Design College Dance. And involved in the booking might have even been Ian McLagan, student and future member of the Small Faces. I tell you, those British rock circles ran in really small circles back in the early days. So to show you this venue, I've got a fun picture of it, actually. Check this out. This is what the venue looked like there on Eel Pie Island. And you can see, you know, all the punters there and everything, if you will. Notice the stage backdrop, by the way. Jazz musicians back up against the band. That was actually not, that was pretty common. There's Beatle pictures with them, I think in Hamburg and stuff, with, you know, or in Liverpool, with cartoon depictions or whatever of jazz musicians like that against the wall behind them. And then here's a close-up photo of, yep, you got it, there he is, Mick Jagger. Eel Pie Island in 1963 was this photo taken. Wow. And notice the cartoon clarinetist behind him. Now whether Jagger was 19 or 20, I don't know, because as I said, they played a couple of dozen dates there, but as of this poster, he was still 19 years old. So he's either 19 or 20 in this photo. Oh my goodness. So how much were the Stones paid? About 50 or 55 pounds per gig there on Eel Pie Island. And they were proud because their fan club had now swelled, at this point, late July, to 300 members. Now, of course, they were all local, but remember, that represented the whole world, too. 300 members, wow. Now, their first single was a cover of Chuck Berry's Come On, and it had been recorded in May and released in June, but didn't chart until after this show. July 24th, to be exact, would that single enter the British charts and only get up to number 21. So let's see, how else is this an early poster? Well, just 5 days earlier, the Stones made their first ever TV appearance, okay, lip-syncing that very single Come on Thank Your Lucky Stars. And then final early point, that's my favorite topic, you know that, how early is it, Pete? Well, the very next night, the Stones got out of town for the first time ever and played away from London. So this is the end of an era. It's the last show ever they had played, you know, all inside the London area. They would venture 250 miles to the north and open for the Hollies, which began a lifelong friendship with Holly member Graham Nash. Wow, that's really fun. The very next night. But for now, it was Twickenham and Eel Pie Island in the summer of '63 and the Rolling Stones. The Beatles were going big, obviously, with the #1 album and single right now, and the Stones were right on their heels. So, terrific, fun, early original concert poster to show you today. Just historic as heck and great fun. So, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for dropping by, and we'll see you again for something soon.